Hey, welcome to the Hired AV podcast. My name is Joe Way, and I am your host. And we have a good one for you today. We have, Lisle is missing. Oh, there he is. Now he's back. He was doing plumbing, okay? When I first called in, he was doing plumbing, but we have a good one for you today. Everybody knows, Lisle's everyone's favorite person in the AV industry now. That is 100% sure. You all got to meet him at Infocom. You've seen him on the Hetma channels, and I'm so stoked. He's obviously the tech manager spotlight this last month. So actually, by the time you're hearing this, it would have been the month before. So go back and make sure you read that to learn more. This is just going to be a little bit of kind of picking up on that bit about him. But anyway, actually, let's go to everybody's favorite part of the show, and that's where I stop talking and the guest starts. So Lisle, welcome to the show. Please tell everyone who you are and what you do.
My name is Lisle Waldron. I am it's long, please forgive me, I did not invent this title. I am the Multimedia and Audiovisual Manager for UTT's Learning Commons. It's like long. So I apologize.
That is long.
It's long. It's long.
And what does UTT stand for those who don't know?
Oh, snap. My apologies. My God, you really have to treat me like I'm a kindergarten cop with this one, Joe. The University of Trinidad and Tobago. I forgot. I have to do it the first time long before I do short. So, yeah, I'm the MMAV manager for UTT. We're big on acronyms at UTT.
I was going to say, that's a lot of letters.
You have no idea. Oh, my goodness. It's grinds me to no end. But yes, that's more what my position is. I could say to you, it's not who I am. I'm a character. I'm recently found out autistic 40-plus-year-old male who almost was working as a co-director of yours, Joe, in the States, but then ends up through the machine back home and decides on this journey that he's going to make a difference from the island. So like a clone, I run off to save the world. There you go.
I want that as my resume. That's it. That's just, that's your resume. Your LinkedIn update right there is just that.
There you go. Oh, by the way, for clarity, I'm Hired AV's favorite plumber from today.
You are the favorite plumber. I can't believe I log into the call. Yes. And all I see is you there with two pipes in your hand. I'm like, what the heck
I have the actual pipe somewhere around outside. So here you go. Evidence. It's real.
Is it that welcome to island life? Podcasting one moment and fixing your plumbing the next moment.
Doing plumbing. Where's my camera? There you go. It's plumbing. There you go.
I love it. Lisle, that's what makes you our favorite.
Mind you, it's literally on top of my DDJ Rev 7 case. So it's in the midst of the semi-studio in the unfinished house that, we've had meetings where I've been on a ladder doing ceiling work. I've had my fall 12 feet from a ladder. Like this house it's been too much.
That's right. You had your fall from a ladder.
Yeah, the shoulder's coming along nicely. I'm gonna have a rotator cuff once more, but it's gonna be a 40-year-old rotator cuff. It's not gonna be my 20-year-old version.
And it never goes back. Once those injuries never go back to the way they were.
Trust me, that. Do not have to remind me. Oh my goodness. Because the bad thing about the way my brain is wired, I'm like 14. So I could be quite happy to play Call of Duty and not write your stuff for a higher ed AV. By the way, that's coming. Shh, don't tell anyone. I'm most contented playing PlayStation, but I unfortunately have to put on my big boy pants from time to time. So yeah, that's how you end up falling 12 feet like Superman. Put on big boy pants.
I love it. All right, so let's go back to, for those who don't know, let's go back to your long title. What does that actually mean that you do at your university? What does manager of AV and blah, 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 blah do?
Okay, so I got poached from the University of the West Indies, which is the big regional institution. It was around originally as, I think, Queen's Royal College back in the pre-colonial times. So my then boss, the head of the learning center, he sees me at UEM doing a live event or something that he's like a conference or something he's a part of. And he pitches me on this idea, and I let it ruminate for a while, but like a year or two later, I apply and I get the thing. What does it mean? I think, like I said in the write-up, I want to stick with that now that I've gotten a little older and a little wiser. When Infocom changed from Infocom to Avixa, and they were really big on the user experience thing, like I wasn't sold, not anything to do with them or their publication or their marketing. I think I just was not mentally ready to accept it. Sometimes when the most obvious things in front of you, you have to accept it before you can believe it. And as time has passed, when I had that little titbitty of a tell about yourself to do the other day, and I really sat and reflected deeply, because I take those things like really seriously. I talk a lot, as you know, but I don't like talking about myself. I recognize that what does the multimedia and audiovisual manager do for the University of Trinidad and Tobago is I craft experiences, and I craft experiences that are a best fit to the teaching and learning styles for my institution, that are a best fit to our continual budgetary crises. And you know what? I'm going to have somebody nodding along from the University of Nantucket or something going, oh yeah, budget. Psh. I had a running joke at UBTech, Joe, that no one in the States could say to me they have budgetary problems. If you have a budgetary problem, send me an email. We'll do that in the contact. And I am going to send you back what my year-on-year budget was for, I'm going to tell you my 2024 budget in US dollars for an entire university. So I have to craft these experiences based on fit for culture, fit for teaching and learning, fit for budget, and I think most importantly, fit for circumstance. The circumstance of living in a non-US territory means that there are a lot of logistical flips and hurdles. So for everybody who is a part of any manufacturer, not calling any names, but I really like that movie from the 80s, Tron. If you think you have a 6 to 9 month delay and it feels bad, guess what happens when you're on an island? You're a very low volume customer, and you have to get in the line behind Joey at California, wherever he is today, right? So guess what that Tron does? Lisle. Okay, Joe got it. So fit is so important, and that experience is also so important. And I could go on for that for hours. So let me stop right there. So what do I do? TLDR. I create experiences for whomsoever is the client, because I've also do a little bit of consultancy. Whether that client is someone in the States that I'm doing programming for, whether that client is a ministry of wherever down here, or my primary day job, my daily client, which is UTT, University of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm. So I love that, and I want to get to, because I think we've had some good conversations about the challenges of being one and on an island, right? I mean, their supply chain. We think we have supply chain issues. I can only imagine yours. So how do you like? And again, there are schools that have smaller budgets. There are schools that aren't major R1 institutions. Yes. What is your secret sauce? How do you deliver high quality solutions when you are both budget and supply,
constrained? Yeah, this is why your name is Joey. You're good, Joe. You did not. This did not take 10 minutes. You got straight to it. So what originally propelled me before my time, because I firmly believe, Joe, after Orlando and everything we were able to accomplish as HETMA, as a unit, it just was not my time. I spent, I want to tell you, about 10 years, let's go 06 to 16, trying to contribute to the wider AV community through then Educom, which then morphs into UBTech. And I think I was saying to you earlier, it's so important to know your space. So my space is not going to be reaching out to like Anton at USC or reaching out to one of my guys in FIU and trying to explain to them how to do 200 classrooms on scale. That is not my space. Now, it doesn't mean I can't do it. I can, but I can't demonstrate it for a host of reasons, but that's for job interviews. What then is my space? Well, my space is creative design on a budget. Now, that sounds kind of broad, right? Because everybody does that. You design on a budget. Everybody designs on a budget. No. This is an attempt to parlay things I actually learned when I went to school. You know that thing called degrees, Joe, that some of us just do for pieces of paper? I can say head on the block, I've never done that. I only go to school when my brain is bored. My brain is actually bored right now. I want to do a PhD so bad. I just have to find the program I want to do. But when I was doing my bachelor's degree in Comp Sci, I had a course called SISPM. Again, those darned acronyms. Strategic Information Systems Planning and Management. And it is basically a mature version of what was MIS in like the 90s, Management of Information Systems. And I remember sitting in a class, and I mean, I could break that whole thing down into like a sentence, right? Let's use an example of a bakery. So you're a bakery, and you have like these great trucks to drive bread around, but your ovens are like in the 80s and they're gross and they don't bake well. Then I think your strategy for your information systems in that case is off. You're putting your investments into the wrong space. So I started thinking about SISPM through an AV lens, but not just an AV lens broadly, because that's how I could do, consultancies, but through an AV lens in higher education. How do I apply these SISPM principles in higher ed? And the case study and point that I end up pointing to and ended up for those 10 years at UB Tech presenting, we've done workshops and I mean, the whole 9 yards. It was really nice to be able to contribute as I did. I ended up thinking about JetBlue, Southwest, thinking about standards. Perishy thought somebody right now is cringing. I apologize, Joe. You just lost a million listeners. Thinking about standards and how to implement standards. And no, people, standards are not a straitjacket to us in higher ed AV. Standards mean that we have some parameters that are very flexible. High flex before it was a thing. But it consolidates our switching core. It consolidates our control system core. It consolidates our display core. So, and these are not things that we don't do in higher ed already. I mean, think about it. Who walks into our comms room? We're all in. Wow, my office phone is ringing. Where all of your switches are, there. You're not going to see 2 HP Arubas, 1 3Com, a Cisco, blah, blah, blah. That is not going to be the case. So for us, what does that mean for us as an AV community and as a higher ed AV community, right? And how do we leverage those thoughts without us almost instinctively going to, oh no, not standards. Let's not do that. We're not IT, which is true. But I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. So that was the first port of call. How do I do this thing using those principles? The second port of call, which comes back to cost, then boils down to a modular approach to design and development. What do I mean by that? Because there's really 3 pillars in this. The modular being the second, and the last one being who you're going to call any night. But this modular approach means that if I think of any of my subsystems, let's think about displays. Do I really need like a Sony, a LG, and a Samsung display scattered throughout the university? As best as possible, let's say no, because if I just run the Sonys, then my programming core is going to be easier for me, whether I'm programming in-house or with an integrator. They're going to have similar lines of code, this, that, the other, uptime, classroom time, you name it. Makes sense already. For some of us, for the larger schools like an MIT or USC, Ohio State, they actually could parlay that into leveraging forcing manufacturers, pushing costs down. But for a school like UTT, what it allows us to do, it allows us at a very small scale to work along the margins, but just build on them. So the difference between my video conferencing space, my Zoom room, and my like base classroom is really a switcher and a couple other things. But functionally, same screen, same display. 9 times out of 10, I have 1 of 2 standards for audio, depending on the architecture of the room. And again, this is for UTT. I'm not saying this for any other school, right? So for some rooms, I don't have the luxury, like I have home here, drop ceiling. So I can't use tile speakers or backhand speakers. So I have to use wall mount. So I have a wall mount standard. I have a ceiling standard. And they run off of the same amplifier in effect because, transformers and all that drama. But it basically means I can leverage that. Now, if the room is 20 by 20 and I need 4 speakers, great. But if the room is 40 by 20, then I need 8 speakers, maybe a bigger amp. So now I'm thinking like JetBlue, like Southwest, where I'm going to buy a fleet of planes. I'm going to certify my staff across all. And depending on the need, I can go with a 737-800 or the 900. I can go for the A319, the A320, or the A321. But when you go into that cockpit, it's all the same. Because part of our budgetary issue, Joe, is I have no staff. I got staff 2 years ago. I've been doing this for 16 years at this place. I got staff 2 years ago. How was I able for 10 years by myself and one guy, my second in command, Kevin? I would not be me if I did not call Kevin's name once. How did we do it? Well, those standards allowed us to remote manage pretty much everything. We reduced tickets to 0, which is unheard of, and all those things have cost savings. I spent less time training faculty, and I say that with disdain because I actually don't believe in training. Don't. That's a kind of wounds, Joe. Don't do
I
it.
like it. I like it. We need to go there because I agree with you. I agree with you that because here's the thing. why not create? Everyone's like, well, what's your training? Well, how about we create systems so intuitive that they don't need training?
Caribbean time, booyaka, right? So one for the Lords, that's one for Joe, correct. So without going too far down that road, some years on, I end up reading the seminal work from Don Norman, the design something. I'm gonna pull it up in the meantime. And I read that, and it really impacts the design of everyday things. There you go. It really impacts how I think about design, but it really just puts an academic, formal look at how I'm thinking about design, because I was doing it all the time. I was doing it since I was in U. I just did not know that's what it was called. And Don Norman makes that point. You know, a lot of these things wouldn't happen. I mean, like, take the 737 MAX issue. Yes, there was all this surreptitious stuff, but everything was just like, you have to be a 10 times engineer with all these switches and lights. It's not designed well. So for anybody, if you're an AV person, I would strongly recommend it. And I mean, again, running UB Tech joke, people used to sign up to come back to my sessions like years, and I did not understand this. And they would stand in the Q&A and go, okay, Lisle, the question is, have you finished reading past page 13? I literally for 10 years never got past page 13 in that book. Because from like 1 to 13, Joe, was so powerful. I was like, okay, I'm good. I think I've gotten like to 160 something. I still have to finish reading it. I have a new design book that I just got the other day from Manuel Lima. I can't remember the name of that one right now. But I haven't even finished the Don Norman's design book. So yeah, I don't believe that faculty are Pavlov's dogs, and I don't believe we need to ring bells and get saliva flowing. I do believe that we could do better in standardizing designs. That's actually what I'm writing about for your piece. I'm revisiting a paper I did 14 years ago. Technology-oriented or learning-driven, and I'm revisiting it. I'm going to break it up into some articles, not to make it so academic. Funny story why I did that because at the time, I had an associate's degree. I'm in higher education, dealing with faculty who have PhDs, and they would offer little to no respect because I was the projector guy. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get my PhD in 10 years. What can I do right now to be heard? And I wrote that thing. And then I got called to present in some conference because I didn't even know how to like do the conference thing, right, Joe? And I'll never forget, my then head of department for the School of Education sat in the front row, and her jaw was on the ground the entire time because she never saw me in like a suit, I guess, and like all that stuff. But that was the level of it. But then when the Q&A came and every school stood up and was just like clamoring to ask questions about this thing, she was looking around like, y'all know that's Lisle, right? He's just Lisle. What are you doing? No, don't put your hand down. And I just stood there looking at her like, you still don't get it. This is what it means to me. So all of those things come into play. And what I've just described is kind of like how I think about my niche. Now, here's a fun fact. Post the 2008 financial crash, higher ed has finally, in the US in particular, but I would say in most developed nations, you all have finally actually felt it. The financial side of this. And whether this is, again, the Ohio States with a football program or the Alabama with a football program or Haskell Nations University. They were one of these schools that signed up for one of those workshops I did. I'll never forget that one. It was a cool workshop, though. Now that those principles of designs are bringing benefit to the entire continuum, to the full spectrum, because everybody has to figure out a way to do better with way less. And it's not enough now to, just take a $9,000 MSRP switcher and say, well, we're going to standardize with that in a 1,000 classrooms. Because are the budgets there? And then are you, Joe, going to be the rigid person going, nope, have to have my $9,000 switcher? Now, that does not mean I'm going to leave you with, 6 different, from not calling any of those vendors' names, right? Some eBay stuff. I'm not saying that either. Just, as a matter of fact, we're a Crestron shop. I run Crestron Fusion. This is the zero budgets guy. We're a media site shop. I've been a Zoom shop since 2015.
Nice.
And we're a Canvas shop as well. That is a school that has no money. So it begs the question, then
Still all high quality stuff.
Exactly. And I'm not boasting here, but I want to suggest it's managed. Oh, I can't forget, Kevin. We're a Corsival shop. It's managed really, really well. And that has little to do with me and more to do with the amount of thought we put in on the back end. It's one thing to have those brands. It's another thing to represent those brands to the point where in my life, this is before the pandemic, Joe, I was like a Zoom VIP. And they used to mention USC by name because when we started with Zoom, I had 21 licenses. You all had like 10,000. And I'll never forget, right? Because UTT always pays like late, like 4 months late, no matter what. And I remember we basically got reprimanded. We got like a VP of finance or somebody. He was the account executive for UTT. And this guy just used to have Zoom meetings with me, and we would just talk about designs and stuff. And I would show him stuff I was working on that was on paper because like no funding to get it done. And he'd just be like, Lisle, how did you figure that out? I go, cause I got no money. This is what I gotta do. I gotta do what I gotta do, buddy. My faculty, Joe, go to conferences with your faculty. Your faculty go back to you and go, Joe, what can we do? Joe goes, sign the check. My faculty comes to me and go, Lisle, what we could do? I go, let me see what I could do. All right. Yep. So my current video conferencing room has a Shure MXA 910 in the ceiling. I love those microphones. It's a fantastic kit. Mm-hmm. But then I didn't have any money for switchers, nor could I get switchers in the country fast enough. So logistics meeting budget. So I pulled out an old DM 8x8 chassis that we had decommissioned from a campus we closed down and was able to use that as the core for the whole thing, right? So, hey, he just said standards. I know, it's not. But the president called me in a meeting, Joe, and said, in 6 weeks, we're starting a new series of courses on this campus. What can you do? Right?
And you got to find a solution. You know what? The classes are going to happen no matter what. But correct. Also, something that we've had a conversation about that I think the listeners would be interested. So, I love how you talked about remote management, right? Like you have a very unique thing. So if you're cutting your tickets down, the average person can do SneakerNet and run over across somewhere. Yeah. You might actually have to go to a different island.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Little detail there.
So, I left that little detail out, ladies and gentlemen. So, how this works is that the University of Trinidad and Tobago, let's do a quick remedial English course, Trinidad and Tobago. It's actually 2 islands. So, this is where Joe can get a nice graphic. No, that we don't have budget for graphic. But it's 2 islands at the bottom of the Caribbean. And I'm the national university, which means we have campuses on both islands. So, yes, a part of when I got there, and I sat down and I really thought about, okay, this is not where I was before. This isn't somewhere else. This is UTT. How am I designing? Again, we come back to fit, right? What is the fit we're looking for this university? And yes, one of the things that stands out in a big way is it's a multi-campus, multi-island university. Mm-hmm. So I do have a campus in Tobago. And for me to get to Tobago, or as the American Airlines staff say, Tobago, for me to get to Tobago, I think I lost my passport. I hear it burning in the background. I have to take one of 2 options. I take a 20-minute flight on a turboprop. When last has anybody in the States taken a turboprop, right? Shout out the Canadians. They still have some de Havilland Dash 8s lying around. I take a 20-minute flight on a turboprop that actually takes about 3.5 hours round trip to do from start to finish. Or I take a 2.5 to 4.5 hour sail on a ferry to get to Tobago. Now, my university treats this as just like you, Joe, go to the office. Let's say you get to the office for 8 or 9 to 5. Let me do Dolly Parton, right? You do the 9 to 5. So I am doing the 9 to 5, but in Tobago. It means then that my usable clock time is less. So if I get to the airport for, let's say, 9, because I'm on the clock at 9, so I'm ready to go. Or remember, let's make it easier. Let's say I get to the campus at 9. I have to get back somewhere in that time slot that makes sense. Because if I do 9 to 5 in Tobago, I've actually done not 8 hours for the day, but I've done more like 15 or 16, which means that I'm unusable the next day. So we have to pick so there are, moving parts like that, as we would say. But yeah, so my 3 pillars of AV management are these questions as they follow. How do I manage the system? How do I maintain the system? How do I secure the system? If I can't answer one of those 3 questions, I cannot run this.
Repeat. We need to repeat on that. People have to hear that again. Say those 3 again.
Yeah, we're going again. If you have a classroom and one of those questions don't have an answer, we got problems. How do I manage this system? How do I maintain the system? How do I secure the system? Because those questions take care of the gambit of my higher ed AV needs. If the system's not secure and somebody steals my projector, which they do, it's Trinidad, let's be fair, it's the Caribbean, then I'm going to lose teaching time. What is my core business function? Let's take a page from my SISPM. My core business function is teaching and learning. Some universities, it's teaching, learning, and research. Therefore, that projector is there for one purpose, which is supporting teaching and learning. It's not one of my cool toys that I get to play with. It's a device with a strategic purpose. So if I can secure it, business case made. If I can maintain it, and this is both preemptive and post-issue maintenance, right? So it's the same series of questions. You have to drill into that more. How do I ensure that we have uptime for classrooms, so physical checks, remote checks, so forth and so forth and so on. In my case, we do some advance warning. So if a device goes offline, we get an email from Fusion, yada, 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 right? I can pick up the phone, I can call somebody in Tobago and go, hi, could you just go into the classroom for me and just turn it on? Just press the button. I don't need you to do anything else. You don't need to be an AV person. Oh, cool, thanks. It turned on, great. So now I reach out to IT, it's a network break, it's temporary, right? That kind of stuff. So how do I maintain advance warning? How do I maintain if there is a facilitator in that classroom? And I am effectively 3.5 hours away. I have to figure that out. Even if it means that my process is call somebody there, secretary, admin, whatever is the case, and use them as the arms and legs, and then, because I have approvals, reach out to the office of the provost, well, formerly the provost, now the vice president of acronyms, registry and student affairs, VP Rasa, right? And get them to book me on the next flight. Oh, by the way, Joe, it's carnival. So there are no flights for 2 weeks. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Joe, when there's teaching, but there's carnival? There's no way to get to Tobago. What do you do? So that question has to be answered. How do I maintain it? And last but not least, how do I manage it? I can't have this satellite classroom out there, and I've not seen it in 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. That can't be. So that management philosophy will include field trips, road trips, driving out there, spending a day at a campus, taking some time to do some data collection, trying to figure out, okay, what are faculty doing? I'm just there and I'm just observing. And those things then provide me insight for sometimes more data collection, like I have a survey going out right now that I have to send out, or sometimes a design change or an action item. We have an aviation campus, like, what is that school in Florida? Embry-Riddle, I think it is. We have a nice aviation campus. They have good old Boeing 727. Fun fact, my mom used to work for the airline, so I'm like a super plane nerd. So I just love being at that campus. And I'm looking at the faculty teach, and I realize that while they're teaching, they walk up to the emergency power cutoff switch on the wall, Joe, and they cut power to one of the 2 projectors in the dual display room. What is going on? So I let them finish, and hi, I saw you did. Why? Oh, well, I want to write on the whiteboard. And when the projector is on, the screen is down. It's a motorized screen. So I have no way of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. Now I'm we didn't get into that, right, Joe? I'm the lead programmer. I'm the lead designer. I'm the lead configuring person. So when I wrote the program, it made sense. You press the on button. I have a dual room. It's not a flex room with like a partition. Yeah. So you press on. If the system is on, 2 projectors on, 2 screens down. I didn't think about why would one want to write on the whiteboard. And I'll tell you why. The room is 40 feet wide. So in my AV, CTS, or VIXA head, you're never going to write on that whiteboard over on the left side because some kid over on the right is not going to see it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're not going to use this. Little did I know, they were just dropping power and they were just doing what they were doing. So I'm like, all right, rewrite the program, put some buttons in there so they could adjust the screens. But I do my due diligence and not tell them, not talk to them, not inform them, but have a discussion with them about sightlines and whether or not, and ask them the question. I try never to tell adults things, Joe. I ask them the question if they were sitting over there, if they would see, and they go, oh, I didn't think about that. Well, what could we do? It's like, well, we could digitize your handwriting. I just need to get a little budget. I could get a touchscreen in here for you. I'm like, all right, Lisle, let's do that. So there is also a way to reach faculty that sometimes, we make things sometimes far too antagonistic when it's not necessary. Mind you, that campus, I have antagonism on that campus all day long, right? I have had meetings and had to quell riots and, had to look at somebody and go, Joe, who the hell are you talking to? Like I've done all that down there, but understand the manner in which I'm still speaking about the campus. It's not a reverence because of faculty or some kind of self-aggrandizing thing that I'm doing. Everything I do is about the student and supporting that teaching and learning process.
Love it.
When my son was younger, I used to say to myself, I want to make this university a place that he could go to school in. And he would want to go to school in. So that's the motivator.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely love that. And so then when you're coming up with these, because obviously you've been able to put in very high quality while still having the, the monetary and the supply issue and being able to bring the highest end. Where does working with the faculty to come up with those solutions, like, because obviously, I always say that if you ask, 10 faculty what they want, you'll get 20 different opinions, right?
Yeah, I think it was Ford who said if you ask them what they want, they would say a faster horse. So yes, there's that. I think there's a balance that has to be found that I don't think has been found as yet. One of the things, and I'm letting out some state secrets here because you're Jew. One of the things that I want to investigate in that higher ed AV write-up, so it's actually going to be less of come and read me and more of the next chapter is going to be based on some of the comments and responses. Is one of the things I've seen over the past 20 years coming to the States and, doing as you come to know, right? Doing those things and interacting with my peers is I'm often confused as to how the hell y'all get things done. This is what I mean by that. So we have budget. We built a whiz bang room. We got all of the coolest stuff, the brightest projector, the fastest switching device in 8K. And then I hear this complaint, faculty doesn't want to use it. I have to train them. And well, maybe we put the cart in front of the horse there. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not making friends in this. I just realized, oh my God, I need to stop. Right. So I've always asked.
No one can listen to you and not be your friend. Like, it doesn't matter. You're the only person, the way you say things completely insult them and they would thank you for it.
Oh God. So I don't disagree with him. That's what that was. So no, I've asked. I'm like, Joe, come and talk to him. So when you got that budget for that thing, how did you justify it? Oh, okay. So active learning was like the thing du jour, and you were like, okay, active learning. You spoke to any faculty? Well, now if you speak to faculty, they don't. All right. I want to stick a pin right there in that example because August the 2nd episode, I think it's August 2nd of the AV Super Friends podcast. Go take that in. They actually dealt with that and they did it so well. And I don't know if I was just 15 years ahead of this thing. I don't know if Chris and his guys, they were thinking of these things 15 years ago. But I think between one of our VIXA's standards documents that I actually have printed out, like old school, it's actually on the first page, the importance of the technology and what it's supposed to support specific to higher education. I'll send you the link to that so that you could link it wherever you need to. But I think that sometimes, and I'm not accusing anybody in particular, but I think sometimes because you all have more that is forgotten. So I have no choice but to try to figure out what I'm trying to support first because I'm going to lose my job. Remember who you're dealing with. Outspoken, loud, tall guy. That doesn't mean I'm the favorite on the campus. I'm going to tell people in certain positions things they don't want to hear. So if they could find somebody a little more amenable to ego and feelings, they would. I can't afford to buy the expensive piece of kit that also does not fit the teaching and learning style. Now, some of that I do through active outreach. So you've heard me say I have a survey to send out. Some of it I do through that more passive observation and conversation, even though they don't realize what I'm doing is data collection. Most of it also comes from the fact that my entire formative time in AV, I was in a school of education. And one of the ways I used to train my techs in those days, those are the days of milk and honey, apparently, compared to now. I used to train my new techs by telling them, okay, guys, here's what I want you to do for me. I want you to stay back this afternoon. Raymond Hackett, Professor Hackett is teaching from 4 to 7. I want you to take a chair, sit at the back of his class, and just look at him teach. And when I come to work tomorrow, I want you to tell me 3 ways we could make his teaching better, more engaging, 3 ways that we could make his life easier through technology. And that actually worked in major ways, and it's something I'm still doing to this day. So I have active ways of getting my data. I have passive ways of getting my data. I do not want to discount any AV designer, manager, or team and the real experiences they've had just from things like support tickets. Support tickets tell you a ton.
Absolutely.
But I don't think we should do any in isolation. So that.
Yeah, no, I love it. So that obviously then means like it's more important, like if you can get a chance to get to Infocom and you get to those events, that time has to mean a lot more to you too, because you can't drive to Crestron's headquarters, right? Your rep's not just showing up down the street, to take you to lunch tomorrow, right?
Well, if I ask, because everybody loves coming to Trinidad. Everybody loves coming to Trinidad. Because everybody has a 6'6" security guard, right? So shout out Bill. Bill was like, lad, if you need me, just call. And he would, to be fair. So But yes, you're going on an idea there.
Yeah, no, I mean, and so then what is your importance when you go to like an infocom
Oh
outside
yeah.
of being our DJ?
Whoa.
How do you take that? See, that's how do you rank your time? What do you put
Oh
your
God.
importance?
So fun sidebar story, very on topic. Lynn just got a car. It's a really nice car. It's an electric. Y'all would not know what it is because it's not from the States. So let's just put it that way. It's Chinese. I know y'all don't like China right now.
Oh.
It's lovely though. It's lovely. Those Chinese know what they're doing. But we get to the dealership and the dealer starts his pitch and I go, say three things. He looks at her and goes, he knows more about these cars than I do. By the time I get to Infocom, Joe, short of product launches that I did not know was coming down the pike, I have to know 10 times more than everybody else there because my time is 10 times more critical. And that's not like a boast, it's a reality that I have to live with. I'll give you a very human example. I don't know if I told you this already. When I did my CTSD, it was ironically in Orlando because I think my CTS was a year in Vegas. When I did my CTSD, so I'm out of pocket, and I've been out of pocket for that 15 or so years that I told you about from Educom to now. No, I'm that is disingenuous. You used to pay for my flight and hotel, and I think I got a little per diem. They were nice to me. I'm not saying my current institution isn't. I am saying that's why I'm always looking for jobs. So I go to Infocom, I'm out of pocket. I'm doing CTSD. What does that mean? Well, if I'm keeping my Avixa membership yearly, which I don't because I can't afford to, the exchange rate is 7-1. So I can't. And I'm still paying that $14,000 bill in that hospital bill from COVID last year in Vegas. So I can't. Everything I do is in US, but my salary is not in US, right? So I have to do CTS. I think the CTSD prep class was $2,100 for a non-member at the time. So that's $2,100 US. That is times 7. That is 14,700 of my dollars. That is a significant chunk of 1 month's salary. I have to pay for the flights to get up. So if I'm doing economy class and I book like 5 months in advance, I may get a ticket to Orlando for like $550, maybe like $650. That's US. Again, I have to pay for the hotel. If I cleave the hotel on both ends, it means I'm going to get there on the Friday, and I have CTS class Saturday, Sunday, Monday half day. So I have to get there on the Friday, and I'm going to leave the following Saturday because I have to get all 2.5 days on the show floor. I have to spend the money to get the time on the show floor. And that's where I'm going to meet Zoom. That's why we got in so early with Zoom. That's where I'm going to meet MediaSite. That's how I got in so good with Sean and the team back in the days, right? Because they would see me. That's how I got so good with Crestron and everybody at Crestron that I have mad love for and mad professional respect for. Because they have a million stories about Lisle. You think you have Lisle stories? Oh, no. You need to talk to Crestron reps. So I do this CTS, 2,100 in, $650 for the ticket. The hotel is going to be at least, let's say $1,200 on the margins because I could econo lodge and like sleep next to some roaches. Or I could like, what is the name of that place? Rosen. I could Rosen it, it's nice and whatever's the case. But it also depends on where my money is. So if I'm buying a car or I'm building a house, it's going to be econo lodge. Hello, roaches, right? So hotel, airfare, CTS prep class, the exam is $750 US. I take the exam. Oh, it was fun for CTSD. I was spending more time helping Joe and helping Marco and helping everybody with their math and everything. And then Monday night comes and I go, wait, I haven't studied for the exam, which I scheduled for Tuesday. So I turn off my phone, I lock myself in the hotel room for 2 days. I reschedule to Thursday. I take the exam on the Thursday. Anybody who's done CTSD knows it's like 2.5 hours or 3 hours or whatever is the case. It is nerve-wracking for me. It's nerve-wracking for everybody who does CTS, right? So like, claps to everybody who we celebrated this year at Orlando. I finish, you click the finish, ask you, are you sure? You click again. The printer starts going off. I'm tall. It takes me 10 strides to get there. You know how I know it's 10 strides? Because I counted. I look at the paper and I see you've passed and I immediately start sobbing. I kid you not. Because it's like the pressure on my shoulders to get that done. I have people to take care of. I have things to do. And like, I can't let that $8,000 go up in smoke. I'm telling you, I'm just thinking about it. So, it's like a visceral feeling. And I remember sitting on a bench because they have that over like miles away from the show floor. And this poor gentleman, this older chap, he sees this 6'6" African American looking guy who's not American, just crying his eyes out, just sobbing in a chair. And I remember because I'm seeing him in the corner of my eye, and he like starts to walk up to me and reaches out, and he's like, maybe I shouldn't. He's really big. And he kind of walks off. So there's a human side to this as well. It's actually very difficult for me. I mean, I could say that openly, being your colleague and your peer. If I could, trust me, if I could, I would have been up there for every Hetma roadshow. I'm not one for, like, I talk a lot, and I've been accused in my life of saying and not doing. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a doer.
Yeah.
I'm in Orlando with the bum shoulder, trying to lift the booth frame up, right? So
You got it up there. That was a credible moment.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy doing that whole Infocom run. It really isn't. But I have to get it done, because without it, and I think we know this as a higher ed AV community, we already have those issues of respect, and it's really respect with our academic community. Academe is a culture into itself, right? I'm not going to even hint in any derogatory fashion. It is what it is. It's good and bad and everything. And because of that, we're still seen as from the old guard, the people who used to bring the slide projector or the overhead projector or put the projector on the desk. So for me, it's so important to have that CTS behind my name, to have now a Hetma behind me, to be able to say in a meeting with the president or the vice presidents, well, I was just at Infocom, I did this thing, this is what I've seen. I was just I had a planning meeting for a conference with our quality assurance department, and I literally showed them pictures, Joe, of, I think it was the workshop that we did in Orlando. Why? Because they didn't know what a confidence monitor was. So I had to show them the TV that was on the stand on the ground, right? Like this is what it is. So it becomes so vastly important to allow me to know and to see and to experience the things that I have, and then spend that SISPM, that modular, that standardization time, making it fit where it can, never force fit, making it fit where it can for us, So yeah.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Oh, you are my favorite person to interview, because I don't have to say a thing. I just like literally turn the mic on and let you go, and the show is through. So we have to now go.
Flattery
to the
will get you nowhere. Flattery will get you nowhere.
It gets everywhere. No, here we,
it does.
So we're going to switch to the rapid round. So the rapid round here.
Rapido. Está bien.
This is just just questions. No, there's no right or wrong answer unless I have an opinion of my own, in which case there could be a wrong answer. Just random questions that mean nothing. So everyone gets the same first question, because higher ed is very unique. Unique. Yeah. So what is your favorite college tradition?
We don't have any. This is fun. We do not have any. But I'm gonna find one from the States, right? Because one of my favorite college traditions is the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. I was dead set Ohio State for my whole life because I love Chris Carter. I think I mentioned I'm like 6'6", 300. So when I was playing basketball, I was like 6'6", 245. I actually had 2 basketball scholarships when I was a kid, but I always wanted to play football. Now when I say football, in my side of the world, we mean soccer, but I actually mean football.
American football.
I've always loved it. Prefer Madden, don't play FIFA. I'm a turncoat. My passport is burning upstairs right now as we speak. So that rivalry for me was always a thing. Then the Ohio State thing happened. You could ask Joe in the comments. And I firmly became a Michigan supporter. I said it.
Oh.
I said it.
Oh, those are fighting words to some people.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, and I have one for your alma mater. I was in Austin, Texas, the night of the USC UT game, where that infamous last cross the what was his name again? Was it Vince something?
Vince Young.
Vince Young, yes.
Yes.
My guy. No, listen to me. If you think, like, you know me, you've met me. I am sitting on 6th in Austin. Anybody who knows 6th in Austin? It's like the party street. I'm sitting on 6th in a bar with my then girlfriend. And I am literally the only person supporting USC. And I'm like, listen to me, the place was all of Austin was silent for like 59 minutes. And the only voice you were hearing, and Joe, I'm not a quiet kid. I'm not. I am loud. And my girlfriend she is struggling. She's like, yo, this dude's gonna get shot. Oh my God. All of the frat boys are just looking at me like mean mugging. But you know me, Joe. I'm too cool for school.
Yeah.
I don't bring it. I want all the
Until
smoke.
that last minute, and it was
Yo, that
all
last play.
turned around.
Yo, them frat boys ran up on me. I was like, this was me. I was like, we hugged it out, whatever is the case. I threw on my little burnt orange thing because I had like a party to play in like that weekend and blah blah blah. And I shouted out the team. But those are my favorite rivalries. Next question. Yeah. This is not rapid. I need to be more rapid.
No, that was good. No, but that was a good answer. Except for the fact that I still have that image in my head, and I was at the game, and then I had to get on the little bus out of the Rose Bowl off to. And there was all these texts. It was, they were very kind though. They said everything without saying anything.
Yeah. Well, to the victor goes he spoils. Yeah, but that hurts me too. It hurts me too. Trust me, it does.
All right. Here we go. Next rapid round. We know that you are our wonderful DJ at DJ Carbone. Here we go. So here's what you have to do. You're gonna rank. You have to rank these 5 genres of music. Blindly. So I'm gonna tell one. You have to rank it 1 through 5, but you don't get to know the next one until you.
Okay.
So
That's
blindly.
a wrinkle.
Okay. All right. First one. Techno.
All right. Just a minute. I would say to you that I'm gonna put that a solid 3, and
3?
just as a qualification, when you say techno, I'm taking all of electronic dance music. I'm taking house and blah blah. Right. So for me, I'm a house guy. So 3. Let's go.
All right. Reggae.
Oh, I knew he was gonna pull that stunt. I knew it. 15 years ago, number 1. Right now, I would say to you, number 4. My passport's burning. Yeah. 15 years ago, it was number 1. I used to work on what we call an urban radio station, reggae, dancehall, soca, hip hop, R&B. So it was all I was for. But I'm into some other things now. I've gotten older and a little more mellow. Let's go. Rapido.
Classic rock.
5. Love it. Listen, I'm eclectic. You know that from spending 2 days with me. So I have way more than 5. People, just leave me alone.
All right. Then, so you only have 1 and 2 open.
Yeah, I know.
R&B.
No, I have to caveat you here, and I'm not trying to get you to tell me the next one, but it depends. If you are doing Billboard genres, then R&B is technically hip hop R&B, is it? If it is,
you can wrap it. You can wrap it up with hip hop.
Okay, so if it is hip hop R&B, then I'm going to say to you number 2.
Okay, and that means your number 1.
I'm scared. What did I put number 1?
Country.
I knew you were going to do me that. Let's go with it. All right, fine. No, it's not.
You got
I have no idea.
Lisle has ranked country the top music genre. There we go.
That's no, not country song. Before I get canceled. Country's great. I don't know anything about it. So I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's kind of fitting after the Austin story. So there we go,
Yeah, well, I mean, I was in Austin playing reggae of all things, right? There's a nice little spot called the Flamengo Cantina. If anybody's been to Austin on 6, check it out. They're actually very authentic. I'm seeing that as a Caribbean man. First time I walked in there, I was hearing soca like I was in Carnival in Trinidad. And me and the DJ at the time became best of buds. So, yeah.
All right.
But just for anybody who wants to know, my number 1 genre right now would have actually been Afrobeats. I'm a piano. Like that kind of stuff. That's what I'm really deep into. Yes. Afrobeats. Right. That's me right now. I've gotten a little older, so it's like R&B, but it has a je ne sais quoi. That. Let's go.
All right. I like it. All right. Next rapid question. I always like to go to food. So when I come for Carnival and when we're there, when I come, so where are we eating? Where are you taking me? Let's run me through the day of what we're eating.
All right.
Where we're going.
So I have to respect the tourism. I have to respect the tourist isms. Because Trinidad's tourist isms, if you do it right, it's actually still very authentic. So there's some things we have to do. Very quick lesson, Trinidad and Tobago is very cosmopolitan. Our history for 300 years is rife with all kinds of colonizers. We've had the Spanish, the British, the Portuguese. I have native Chinese people here from China from like 200 years ago. I have Indo-Trinidadians that came from India. Of course, we have the African descendants, and we have so much more the native Tainos who were here all the time before us. Spanish, like you name it, everybody's here. So because of that, Trinidad has a very, very, very rich culinary history, like super rich. I'm so not the guy to talk about this. But 2 things you're going to find about Trinidadian food. It is so well seasoned. I mean, like, in the States, like y'all think people in Louisiana and the South know to season meat and stuff, and like Louisiana folks will clown like Cali dudes because y'all just salt and pepper your chicken. Let me tell you something. My ex's mom, they were Louisiana natives. They were down here working on any oil trains and whatnot. And, you know, expats to the finest, they would barbecue, they would whatever. And her mom used to brag. She's like, you know, like, I'm from Louisiana. We know how to use seasoning. I'm like, yes, you do. It's actually pretty good. But then we would cook, and she's like, oh my God. Like, yeah. So there's some things I have to do for Joe because first time to Trinidad. We have to eat doubles. Go look it up. If you're in New York right now, go to Brooklyn and find some doubles. Now try to find some good doubles, go find some trash doubles, and then be like, oh, doubles is crap. So in every culture, there is a fried flour something, right? And it goes two ways. It could go sweet or savory. So the fried sweet I'm thinking of right now is beignets, for instance. And like donuts is another one, or this one is a savory. So what a double is, doubles is two of something. Something that it comes from the Indo-Trinidadian tradition. So there's a thing called bara, which is like a semi-Indian, like Hindu word. I think my ignorance is showing right now. My apologies. And in between there is what you all call chickpeas, what we call chana. So it's bara, chana, bara on top. So it's like a chickpeas sandwich is what I often hear my Caucasian Americans describing it as. And you get like a ton of sauces in there, pepper. There's another kind of pepper we call roast pepper, and there's another kind of pepper they call mother-in-law because it's hot like your mother-in-law's mouth. And then a little bit of chardon beignet, a little bit of mango in there, and a little bit of coconut. It's lovely. Like you're gonna have to have some doubles for breakfast. So that's phase one. Phase two, we have problems because we got a ton of things you need to eat. Now, if we were in Tobago, the sister isle, I would have to carry you to get some curry crab and dumplings, right? So yes, in every culture, there's a way to take flour, throw it in a pot with some water and make dumplings. It's the same dumplings across the board. Some of them are fried, some of them are boiled. This one's boiled, and you get this crab and crab legs. I'm gonna tell you something, blue crab is fantastic. No, I'm allergic to shellfish, so I'm remembering and reminiscing, right? But you get a wicked curry crab and dumpling, Joe. It's gonna change your life. That coconut milk and the seasoning and the crab and the bland. Like we use all these herbs and spices that, you know, just in so many unique ways. It's kind of crazy. It's impossible to discuss and to explain. And last but not least, we're going to have to do some, like a traditional Sunday Trini lunch, which ironically enough crosses cultures. Whilst we have a lot from the Indo-Trinidadians in terms of the curries and, you know, like all that good stuff, we have some stews on the Afro-Trinidadian side, which is, it permeates. It doesn't matter what your household is down here, what you look like, you know, how fair-skinned you are, how straight your hair is, or how curly. Sunday lunch is going to be macaroni pie. Nothing like what y'all call macaroni pie, although I love me some American macaroni pie. I'm just saying. I'm far too Americanized. Blame my mother. Right? Macaroni pie. Callaloo, which is dasheen leaves, and it's kind of like blended and like it's coconut milk, and it's fantastic. Not like the Jamaican callaloo. No disrespect to my Jamaican colleagues. I like it, but a ton of people don't. Jamaican callaloo is a lot drier, and it's more like spinachy something. Whereas callaloo is like, think creamy spinach, but not that kind of cheesy, milky finish. This is way dashini, spinachy. It's very green. It's a lovely thing. Go look it up. Fantastic. And if you get a good callaloo, it may even come with some crab in it. Callaloo and crab with that macaroni pie. Some stewed chicken. How we stew is unlike anywhere else I've seen. I know the Guyanese do it similarly, and the Jamaicans too. So shout out my Caribbean brethren, the Haitians as well. We start with brown sugar in a pot, and we bring that heat up either with a little bit of oil or just like that, and the brown sugar begins to melt into itself and caramelize. The oil obviously helps it to do that faster. And then you take that very well seasoned chicken that's marinated sometimes for a week in a fridge, and you throw it in there in that oily, sugary base, and because it went brown, right? It was smoking, it's brown. So it makes the chicken a deep, dark, lush brown. And then you add your additives. Like, we don't use chicken stock like you all do. We just use water. Fantastic. Chicken stock would work too. And all of your other bits and bobs, if you want your carrots and your this and your that, your sweet peppers and whatever is the case. So you got your macaroni pie. You got your stew chicken. We got some callaloo there. And more than likely some like red beans or something. And we do them red beans like dope. You're going to have some of that. And I think we'll finish off the night with some jira pork. Yeah, we'll do some jira pork to close it off. So think about pork belly, think about crispy skin pork, think about the ways the Chinese do it. But this is now done with a jira curry, which is different to curry. And depending on how much spice tolerance you have, I have none. I got all my man card stuff is in my height and my size and my voice. I don't have any capsaicin
Give me the
tolerance.
spicy. Give me the spicy.
Brother man, I've spoken to you already. You don't want that smoke. You're gonna come back and you're gonna learn. He gonna learn today. All right. So it could get hot. So just some Jira pork. And I think that is it. I know I'm missing. Oh, I had to carry up to Maracas Beach. We have to. This is a tourist thing. I have to do it once, or else all of the West people, all the rich folks will be like, I'm not repping Trinidad. I have to carry to get something called a bacon shark. So again, bake here is not baked. Funny enough, it's fried. It's another one of those fried doughs. So think beignets, similar look, a little bigger, but not sweet. No powdered sugar, not sweet. This is a savory thing. And they're gonna catch shark from the ocean. No, not the let's fin sharks and it's illegal and the sharks are dying sharks. It's not those kinds of sharks. It's actually another kind of shark, and that's not me being thing. It's really another kind of shark. Since sharks have gotten, the population's been so affected by the shark finning, we've switched to catfish. But in that fried, airy, just melt in your mouth dough, because it's actually a float bake. So when you take that dough and you throw it in the oil, it floats to the top, and that's how you know it's done. So it's like a big pocket of air in there, and they cut that, and it opens, and the steam is there. And they put that fried fish in there. That's deep battered fried fish, huh? Deep battered. And then you get your sauces. Trinidad is big on sauces. We don't like dry food, is what we're dry food. We don't like dry food. So you go and you put some pineapples, but the pineapples have been marinated in shadow benny and this and that and thyme, and you put some of that in there, right? And you hit it some shadow benny, and you hit it some garlic sauce, right? So we do a mayonnaise-based garlic sauce. It is the bomb diggy. And you hit out with some pepper because your name is Joe and he want the smoke. He gonna learn today, right? And you got all kinds of stuff, a little cucumber or whatever it's the case. Bacon shark, lettuce, tomato, boom. Trust me. My mouth is watering just thinking about it.
Oh my God. We are going to have a good old, now, see, if this AV thing doesn't work out, you need to work for the tourist department of Trinidad and Tobago, because man, you can sell that island. Oh my God. All right. Last rapid round. Now this might be a challenge for you.
Nope. No such thing.
Because you get 1 minute. Means you have to
no such thing. No such thing. It's like video games. I'm a win.
It's island time, right? Your minute might actually be.
Khaled, all I do is win. Let's go.
I like to end the show in a little bit of inspiration. So you get 1 minute to talk about anything you want. Doesn't have to be tech, doesn't have to be anything. This is like, this was your show. You get 1 minute to talk about anything you want to talk about.
You good.
It is and your time starts now.
I don't even need a minute. I think I've marveled at technology. When I was a kid, I was very privileged. I had a rotary phone. I was on the internet in 86, using Pine as my email browsers, back at some point on Unix OSs. I marvel now that I could pull up my iPhone and I could talk to Joe, and he's in Cali and I'm in Trinidad, and this is great. But with all of this connectivity, we've lost human connections, and we've allowed the system, the matrix, to fool us into believing that I is greater than we. I want to take a second and say to anybody, if you're looking at me and you don't know a lot of people that look like me, make the effort. It's not going to come into your lap. It's not going to be by accident, right? You have to make the effort, and sometimes in making the effort, we're going to get burnt. Listen, I've been one black guy on a 156 seats on a plane. Everybody else is a white American. I've had an old lady walk up to me while I'm sitting in seat 2A and tell the stewardess lady he's in the wrong seat just because I don't look like her. I think this is not the way it really needs to be, ought to be, or could be. And there must be a reason that 2016 didn't happen, because if it did, Joe, then I would not have met Joe today. But I think if we spend a little more time thinking about we and us and not I, and it's no exaggeration, Instagram is I, everything is I, internet is I. If we spend a little more time in the we'll make this world a better place. So reach out. You are your brother's keeper. If you're in a big school, ask yourself if there's a small school in the state, what's going on over there. Just reach out. Not for anything, not to be condescending. Look, is there anything I could come and show you some of my stuff? What do you need? You need some help programming? You need some help with like a bid? Let's do that. So a little more we, a little less I, and that we will form a protective barrier around us and keep everything else that's trying to pull us into politics and sports and rivalries and dramas away. We need us to stop them.
I love that. That is the mic drop, but don't drop the mic moment. Love it. Oh, that's so good. You know how to end a show. So I get, wow. Yes, I'm going to, that becomes a nice little
mic drop, but I can't afford to drop this microphone. I saved up so much for
I know, because it would take so long to get another one on the island.
Shout out to Shaw for the SM7B. I love this little thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, there we go. See?
Yes.
Right. And All right. So I guess the last thing, just how can people get a hold of you because they want to connect with you?
Well, Joey forced my hand. I don't come from a place where LinkedIn is a thing, but I actually paid for my LinkedIn. Gee, thanks, Joe. Don't worry, hospital in Vegas. I promise I'll make my next payment. So yeah, you can get me on LinkedIn. I think it's LinkedIn/Lisle Waldron. I could be wrong. I think it is. Maybe
It's Lyle W.
Lyle W. There you go.
I will put the
That's to tell
link
you how
to
much I
that
don't use LinkedIn. And you can get me at my email, which is Lisle. It's spelled weird. It's not the American Lyle. Lyle.waldron@utt.edu.tt. Joe's gonna put that link there. And you know what? I actually have a very open sepulcher. My phone numbers are on my website, so anybody could get me on iMessage or WhatsApp at 868-683-2442. Yeah,
Awesome.
Real talk.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for coming on. And it's funny because when you spelled your name out, I remember the first time we kind of chatted on a HETMA call, and I said Lisle, and you were shocked that I pronounced your name right.
Yes, that is how I knew we would be best of buds. This is real. It's ordained. It's in the stars, Joe. This is bigger than them. They don't understand it. Nobody looks at my name and says Lisle. Fun fact: I hated my name my entire kid life. Because everybody used to be like Mrs. Waldron or Leslie or whatever. And it used to piss me off, right? You know, you're a kid, you're trying to be a man and all that sort of dramas. And then one day I'm watching Jeopardy because I am a professional nerd. That's what we are in higher ed AV. Nerds are the coolest thing now. And everybody gets the final Jeopardy question wrong because the answer was Lisle, but it was spelled Lisle. And that was the day I was like, I matter. This is cool. It is so cool.
I love it. I love it. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Joe, thank you.
This was great, and I hope everyone enjoyed this episode.
As Joe's noise cancellation takes
and yeah, and so that being said, you can find me on all the socials at Josiah Way, of course, and find at Higher Ed AV and hetma.org, and of course, if you do not like any of these opinions, there may be better ones next time. I don't know. And of course, as always. All the opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions or a sponsor of the show, and we'll see you next time. Look at that shirt. I really love that. Lisle, this was amazing. All right, where's that cover? The cover's on. Cover's on. That's it. I know he's jumping around. All right, I know I have to end this thing. Here we go. How do I?
Bye.
Watch the slow fade. Let's see. This is the slow fade out, and there we go. And then this was good. And now I hit end recording. See y'all.